So hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. This is the final video about my Honda NSX GT3. This is the second edition that I made of the first mold that you already seen in a previous video, in many previous video from I think it was from 2018, the first edition. I don't remember properly now because quite a little bit of time passed since that model. And this is basically the second evolution of the Honda NSX, also known as the Acura NSX, the GT3 Evo version, that is slightly different from the first edition that I made back in time, because they have the different vents over the front fender, that one, as well as they have replaced it in a position similar to the street car, the vent over the bonnet, the vehicle, as well as all the rear part of the model became completely different. I don't have so much light here as usual, but you can see it properly. So all the final part remains much more similar to what other vehicles like the Audi are using. So we have a very different configuration of the rear vents. All this part is completely different. So in the beginning, when I tried to make the model of this car, I start to sell a little insert, because in the beginning I was thinking that the main difference was just about this corner in the back and this one, but then checking better the picture and the references, I noted that it was a little more harder to do, the modification. So I don't know if the guys many guys took that modification set that I made available with the first edition of my body, and I don't know if anybody of them, probably yes, one was a Jim Drew from Michigan, that he made his own modification. He made an incredibly nice work over a body of the first edition NSX, but he was quite unlucky with the decal, because the guy from Decal Doc made a little made a little mess, around the hexagonals in the Caterpillar sponsor configuration present on the decal sheet. So at the time, I remember, like I say, that it was a little bit tricky and complicated to get a proper decal for these versions, probably because all the companies making extra decal for this type of cars are just related to the slot racing world. And in the slot racing world, we just have another body made in carbon fiber, what they call a GFCO body, that I don't know if to suggest or not, because it's true that is anyway a body of the first edition of the NSX of the 2018 car, but you are not working with something that is neither plastic or neither resin. Is a kind of fiberglass that is extremely crispy and quite difficult to work with. So it's really complicated and requires a big effort to have a decent look like the model that we have, mostly because of the surface. So it's very easy that you cannot finish the surface of the model and you will have just a crispy model or something extremely rough from a building of an ordinary model. Is that with my body you can have the ordinary racing kit, something like many modelers are used to work with. So it's no surprises and nothing is crispy. It's just a very high quality resin, and it's made I made completely again all the body. And in some models, very few honestly, I also placed an extra spare rear vents, because this part was in a way still coming from the first mold, so it was the one that was the most stressed part of the entire mold. As some modelers told me, it's also possible simply to make the modification if you don't like to work with this part that can result wrinkled or maybe damaged even more when I post this item in high temperatures like the past summer, or around the world, with the big difference of temperature inside the planes that are to travel the oceans, and so not going to Asia, going to United States or Australia. It's probably easy that some very thin part of the body can be wrinkled. So it's absolutely easy also to if you cannot keep it straight with the ordinary air dryer or the ordinary warm water that is typical with the racing model. It's quite common. And so some models simply cut away this part of the roof and just replace the door on the roof using the plastic part from the kit. So it was something that it didn't became so different. It was different when I made the modification in this side the behind the window and in this side of the vents, and this line is different. So all the rear part of the model became very, very different from the street version, but not the front end. So the front end is quite easy if you have that issues. And honestly, it only happened, I think, to a couple of guys, not so many, and all of them living quite away from Europe, where I usually start to post this stuff. So this is the final overall look. I think the decal sheet that made by Andrew Z, my guy, is my dude making the decals. He make awesome work drawing this decal from the nothing. He just have a bunch of pictures, and he start to prepare everything for creating a kind of decal sheet. It did completely other work, but he is my designer, and I work with him since many years. It's extremely good to have somebody able to do that kind of job. And in the livery of this Motul Honda, this is the official car that raced at the Bathurst 2020, the long distance race made in Australia at Mount Panorama. It's a kind of Nürburgring that they have down there in Australia. Is a fantastic track, really. Is really the same history of the German Nürburgring that I like so much. And the combination of the livery is mostly made painting the gray shade. This is a kind of a gunmetal color, and it's too big, I mean, to create just the ordinary parts like this, like in ordinary decals and so on. And I just provide the red part and the sponsor, that you have to place all over the vehicle. And there is some differences between this model and the one that raced the Spa-Francorchamps in the same identical configuration. I'm talking of the same car. This is the official car used by Yas Motorsport around the world to promote also their car in the American IMSA series and so on. So this is really their model, their car. I think it's still a chassis that they still own after several modifications. It's still a factory car, this one. And so you have to paint the part of the livery that is made in gunmetal, but it's quite easy because they just use straight line. You don't have so many curvatures over the body, so it's enough that you just study the pictures and so on. And as well as for the guy that bought this decal sheet, I made several decal sheets for this model by my own. I say by my own, it's just word that make Andrew Z, the designer of this decal. So we have the official Just Motorsport Bathurst 2020, that is this one. Then I think I made the Shank Racing is the pink and the purple, sorry, and black car. Also there you have to make a combination of the painting between the sponsor and the livery of the rest of the vehicle. And I provide mostly the markings of the car. The real racing car, that is the blue one, the red and the white, quite simple also to build up, as well as the Arta Racing. The Acura NSX racing in the Asian series, in my opinion, is one of the nicest ever. After this, if I didn't made this model for the with the configuration of the Just Motorsport, I surely would have made the Arta black and red vehicle, because in my opinion it's the nicest livery ever, plus the presentation car. So it's the one that is made completely in colored in carbon fiber with the big sponsor in red on the NSX GT3 Evo. That is this vehicle, And so that's it. I think is absolutely a wonderful model, not because I made it, but really because I really like this Honda NSX. And this was a nice journey inside the production of a special GT racer that we see in many races all around the world now, at the same level of the Audi R8, from whom we have the model from Nuno Platz, both the ordinary version and both now the Evo version, as well as the Ferrari 400, the 88, the GTE, the GT3 also racing in the same series, but because of the royalty and so on, we are nearly all forced to buy the model from Model Factory Hero if you can afford to spend $200 just in that kind of model. Very nice model, really depends the ends where it ends to. And then there is my GT3 on the NSX. So this is also consider the BMW M6, and maybe you know better than me about the series, but about the special ones and so on, I think it's just my one and my Callaway present in the GT3 series, And that's it. So I think about the mounting, the build-up of the model, there is not so much to say. It's, of course, when you've already made one model of this type, it's quite easy at the end to arrive to a decent final result, very satisfying for the eyes, and the livery is so really eye-catching, for the mixing of the colors. So it's is absolutely nice in my opinion. Is absolutely nice. Of course, also of this model I made a quite little production, not so many pieces. It's very complicated and tricky to have this stuff, and usually also became quite expensive because we are talking of big pieces in resin. There is a lot of mistakes during the production, so is complicated and usually quite expensive to produce this stuff. But I made a little series, and still a few models are available. We are in the end of 2022, and I don't think I will make any reprinting of this model because right now they are done with the series. So this is the last evolution that they could have, and I think for a couple of years. So starting from 2019, when I began to develop the Evo version, they cannot change anything for regulation for at least 2 years. We had the pandemic time, so they didn't race for 1 year. So add 1 year, we arrived to 2023. So I don't know which will be the next modification of this vehicle, if there will be any. I know that one of these car, I think it was the JMV, something like that, the Danish Honda NSX racing in Europe, made the qualification for the next 24 hours of Le Mans, winning the Petit Le Mans. So it was the race where they allow basically the new team to race with new vehicles inside the real 24 hours of Le Mans. So probably during the 2023 we will see this car also doing something, I hope interesting for them, honestly, in the real 24-hour classic Le Mans race in June of the next year. So we will see about this. That's it. I hope you like my model. In my opinion, this is one of the nicest ever that I build of my own creation, so it's extremely satisfaction for me to see something that I created and I give life to, and I have in my collection two of them, of course, being the producer of them. And nothing more to say. I hope you like it. If you have the model, enjoy it, and as usual, as I used to say, if you have any question, you need any tip, usually this stuff ends in the end of modeler that are much more skilled than me, so usually they don't need any tip, any advice from me. But if you need, I'm always here and ready to help, and I just want you to enjoy the build up of this wonderful racer. That's it, guy. Enjoy it and see you in the next one.